Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Garden, your favorite podcast all about sports. As always, I'm your host, Ruben Dario Chavez Jr. With me, as always, is my good friend and one of the smartest bettors I know, Joel Mordellini, aka Bets with Joel on X. I'm at Ray Chavo on X. It's the finals. Joel, how do you feel? We're finally here. It's been a pretty long playoff full of some amazing games, and now we get the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers. It's safe to say one of these teams everybody expected to be here, and the other one I don't think anybody picked to make it this far. I would say most of the series the Pacers played, they were underdogs. Even against the Bucks, there were people kind of saying, oh, like, will they really have enough juice? Will they be able to get through it? And didn't matter. Haliburton, overrated, underrated. He didn't even win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I'm sure he won't care as long as he wins the big prize at the end. I know a lot of Raptors fans are sad. It's like a bittersweet sadness where they see Pascal finally getting his flowers, Eastern Conference MVP. Everyone's raving about how good he is, and Raptors fans are like, we told you 5 years how good he was, and no one listened. And then for the Thunder, it's the example of a team that came in, expectations high as heck. This might be the best Thunder's team we've ever seen, and I include the Kevin Durant one. So how do you feel about these NBA finals?
It's kind of like, to me, the finals that it seems like nobody wants, but I think when it's all said and done, I'm hoping that it's going to be one that we'll all remember because, like you said, this is a Pacers team that's been counted out basically every round of these playoffs, myself included. I thought the Bucks would beat them. I thought the Cavs would beat them, and I had the Knicks to beat them as well. So I'm over here with my humble pie, but that's what's fun about this Pacers team is that they keep proving everyone wrong, and they're like, we're right back in the same situation. Can they prove the world wrong one more time and go all the way and win the championship against a team that I think everyone is penciling in as the champions before the series has even started? So I do think that the Pacers having that chip on their shoulder, being that team that it's like, okay, no one respects us, no one expects us to win. They have that extra bit of motivation, and I think that does help them. Is it going to be enough to beat the Thunder, who probably the best team in the league? I don't know. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think, two franchises that are longing for a title, which is pretty cool to see. You also got like the David versus Goliath kind of narrative here, which I do think will be pretty fun. Hopefully if the Pacers can put up a fight. So yeah, my expectations, I'm expecting a pretty entertaining finals, but we'll have to wait and see. What do you think about this matchup?
So the internet's really funny, and NBA Twitter, I feel like I've mentioned it before on the podcast, that NBA Twitter kind of makes me laugh because everybody just gets off these wild takes and you never know who's being honest or whatever. I think Joel did nod to it. A lot of people are saying this is like the worst finals possible. No one's going to care. It's like a flyover state final because it's too small markets. And also you add in the fact that, yeah, the books and the people are all heavily leaning Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, to even get the Pacers like to win a game is plus 210. You know what I mean? Like it's not the most likely outcome to happen that the Pacers win. A Pacers win, like you would assume it would go 6 games. A 4-2 Pacers win is plus 1,120 on FanDuel right now. If you look at the odds for like Finals MVP, it's Shai minus 550, and then the closest one to him is Haliburton at plus 700. Like, no one sees a lane for the Pacers to win. I'm still excited about it because I do think, like, look, we can sit here and we can say, oh, the stars involved may not be the sexiest stars. People have an issue with how Shai plays, the foul baiting at times, quote unquote. And then there's Haliburton, who, like, truthfully, is not like he's kind of a superstar of like years past. He reminds me of a Magic Johnson or a John Stockton, a great like setup guy, but not necessarily the guy that you think is going to drop 30 or 40 a game. He can do that sometimes, but that's not his game, right? And then you have, Pascal Siakam, which is kind of like, I don't even want to call them Batman and Robin. It feels more like, I don't know, there's like super like comic book core, but it's like Nightwing and the Red Hood. Like they're both just Robins that can be like the number one guy for a period of time. All this to say, I am excited. I think these guys do play a fun brand of basketball. And ultimately, I think as fans and even people who bet on these games, like, you want good basketball games, right? And if the Knicks were able to string together the games that they needed, they would beat it, and they weren't. So, like, the Pacers are here on merit. They're not here by luck. They're not here because, like, of some lottery. They won. They beat every team that was put in front of them, and they handled them quite adeptly. Ultimately, maybe I'm giving the Pacers more bulletin board material, and they're going to prove me wrong again, but I do think this is, like, Oklahoma's to lose. Like, I just don't. They're a really good team. Like, they made the Wolves look super average. And, like, the Wolves were a really good team throughout most of the season. And they made them look like a bad team. Like, they made them look uncompetitive. So I worry about if they can keep Anthony Edwards under wraps. I don't think it's going to be that hard to keep Pascal Siakam under wraps. If they can limit Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert's effectiveness, Miles Turner is kind of a combination of those two. I don't know how effective he'll be. The Thunder play a really quick game, really good offensively. They have like 3 players that could be on an all-defensive team, and like Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams. They're going to be a nightmare for this team. Like, the Knicks really only ever had, they had Josh Hart, and then they have Mikal Bridges, and then like Mitchell Robinson is like tough on the inside. But that's like 3 guys with limited offensive games or not elite defenders that they're throwing at these people. The Thunder have 3 elite defenders who's like have well-rounded games. The worst one is Lou Dort, but like Alex Caruso is a defensive player of the year. Like he could be that good defensively. I don't know what bets you have. I'm interested to hear. I'll let you chime in, but to me, this is Oklahoma in 4 almost. Like, I don't.
Oh my gosh,
it's gonna be tough. I
will say, like, to your point about the Pacers, I do think that they get offense from a lot of different players. Like, people have been stepping up, like your Nemhards, your Toppins. So I don't necessarily think that, like, okay, if like that strong defense, like you said, is able to take away the Siakams and the Haliburtons, I don't necessarily think that they're going to roll over and die. But I think you kind of nailed it with, like, them having such an edge defensively. The thing is, like, the Pacers, they're going to push the pace and try to score the ball a lot. But you look at the Thunder, that's a team that scores the ball a lot as well. And if they have a much better defense than you, like, that's going to be a big issue. And I think turnovers will be a huge factor. I think Indiana, to win some games, is going to have to play, like, excellent games. Whereas, like, the Thunder, I don't even know if they're going to even reach their ceiling to win these games. Like, I kind of think, I mean, it's obvious they have the edge. Like, if you look at the books and all the numbers and stuff like that, like, I mean, I believe the series is the favorite for the series is the Thunder to win 4-1, and the next best is the 4-0. So, I mean, it's looking rough. In terms of bets, I am going to be taking a shot on the Pacers at +2.5 in the series. I do think it's going to be a 4-2 Thunder series. Ultimately, I don't see this Pacers team getting, like, just totally blown out like that. I think there's too much pride. I think they've come too far. They compete really hard, and they do have a good home court advantage. So, like, if they can just hold serve at their home court, like, I could see them, taking the first two at home, or at least one out of those two. So yeah, I kind of think the Pacers are going to be in it. It could end up being a 4-1 and my plus 2.5. It doesn't get there, but for plus money to get spotted essentially 3 games in the series, like I feel pretty good about that. And then obviously if I like the Pacers to win 2 games, then I like the over 5.5 for the series total games, which is also at plus money. If I think they're winning 2 games, and I think the Thunder are winning 4, that's 6 games, right? So I like that as well. And then if you want to get really spicy with it, I do think, you could throw a little bit on Spicy P to win the MVP of the finals. Obviously the Pacers would have to win the finals for that to happen, which is highly unlikely, but at like plus 2,000, I mean, it might be worth some pizza money just for fun because, he showed he could be that guy. And, shout out Raptors legend Pascal Siakam. But that's kind of where my head is at in terms of the series bets. In terms of like a game-by-game bet strategy, I kind of think in this first game, I kind of want to lay the points with the Thunder. I think it's about 9. Last I checked, let me just pull it up real quick. You could get a juiced 8.5 or about a 9.5. So the number is kind of all over the place right now. But yeah, I kind of think like in the first game, OKC is gonna kind of lay a beat down. I think it was a pretty emotional series for the Pacers over the Knicks. I kind of think like that was their championship. So I kind of like OKC, at home in that first game, a little more rested. They've had more time to prepare. I think in front of that home crowd, it could be a blowout. And then my strategy after that would be game 2. We're going to get more points with the Pacers, probably double digits, like 10.5, 11 points. And then that's when I would come back and hit the Pacers on the spread. So that's what I like for the series. And then I don't really have any more strategy past those first 2 games, but I do think, as the series evolves, things will change and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where my head's at. 4-2 OKC is my series prediction. What do you got, Ruben?
I mean, now the 4-0 is like plus 290, I think. I got it when it was plus 330. So I put $10 on them to sweep the Pacers. I think all the fun bets are like you're saying. Like, I think personally, I will put like a 5 spot on Pascal Siakam to win Finals MVP, because ultimately, I think if the Pacers do win, he's going to have the kind of series that will necessitate him to win MVP. Like, there's no way Oklahoma's going to let Haliburton just dice them up with like passes and scoring. They're going to put the pressure on other people to create and to score and to be efficient. So that means Pascal's going to be very important. Joel made a great point. This Pacers team doesn't feel like a superstar with a bunch of supporting characters. It feels, again, to use a TV analogy, it's like an ensemble cast. Like, there is no the star. This isn't 24. This is Friends. Like, everybody is kind of a leading person in it, and they can be the A plot or the B plot on any given day. That makes them harder to defend in some respects. It also means that the MVP could come down to who's going to have like the 1 or 2 games that tilts it if the Pacers do win. And I think Pascal Siakam's more likely to have like a 30-point explosion with like 10 boards, 5 assists or something, and just really pad those stats in a way that Haliburton doesn't always. But yeah, so I do like that, the pizza money thing. Again, I do think a sweep is in play, so take that for what you will. As much as we've talked about the defense of these teams, these are 2 very good offensive teams. I think there's like a special on FanDuel. Again, like, this is cooked, and I don't know if people should actually bet this. I guess if you think the game is going to go, if you think the series is going to go more than 4 games, it might be more worth it. But like anybody to break Elgin Baylor's single game NBA Finals points record, 62 in a game, that's a lot. But the Pacers play so fast that I think the Oklahoma could have enough possession that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just has a 60-point game. Like, I don't know. It's hard to bet this series for me because, to me, honestly, I look at the Pacers, the bad games their stars can have are so bad that it like looks like they can't win. Whereas like I'm trying to picture Shai's worst game, and it's still gonna end up being like a 20-point game because he's gonna get to the line like a bunch of times. And that's just the difference. Like Haliburton has games where it's like he scores 6 points. Like I just like the Pacers can't afford to have a bad game. Whereas I think, like you said, Oklahoma could play like to half of their potential and still win this in 6 games. Like it's hard.
Yeah, I kind of, one thing I didn't mention, I had Miles Turner on my fantasy team this year, and he wasn't the best rebounder in my opinion. I do think
he would be better than he is.
Well, he likes to take threes from the center position, which I'm not gonna get into, but yeah, I just think another like big edge for the Thunder besides defense is the rebounding. Like I think they're gonna dominate the boards personally, and I also think they just have much better depth like overall. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough for the Pacers. But again, this is a team that's been counted out. You know,
like, and you know, not to put any bad vibes in the air. Like, knock on wood. I hope everybody makes it out this series healthy. It takes one injury to completely change the panorama of this series. Like, if Shai gets hurt, or even if someone like Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren gets hurt, that changes the Oklahoma City Thunder's plan. That forces Hartenstein to play bigger, like a bigger role. It moves a lot of pieces around. They have to use more of their depth. And the Pacers have a lane. But yeah, I don't know. Most of my bets are like, the problem is you literally can't bet a Thunder player to lead anything because they're like negative. Like,
yeah,
like, it's not even.
It's gonna be so juiced. You're just So what was your
no one else on Oklahoma?
What was your series score? What's your prediction for the finals?
The Thunder are gonna sweep them. It's gonna be crazy.
OKC in 4.
OKC. It's gonna be interesting because people have already started talking about it on the NBA Twitter sphere. But like, if you're Kevin Durant, like, you think about he had to leave to get a ring, and now like what franchise is gonna be? Oh yeah, that's Kevin Durant's like team. And now like Shai wins a ring in Oklahoma. Like, yeah, the Kevin Durant years were fun. Even Russell Westbrook. Like, if Shai wins this ring, he instantly becomes the best player Oklahoma have ever had.
Oh yeah. And like the scary part is if you look at their draft picks for the next like 3 to 4 years, like they have so many first and second round picks. Like this team is already deep as can be. So I mean, like this is gonna be this is potentially a dynasty in the making. This could be like a really special team that we're gonna witness for like the next 10 years. Like this has all the makings of a dynasty. So we'll have to wait and see if it starts now, like, and if they can keep it going. You know, once some of those other teams in the West kind of get healthy. Lakers, Warriors, stuff like that. But those teams, like with those aging veterans kind of on their way out, I just think it's a new age of basketball with the Thunder. It's exciting. I'm low-key rooting for them, you know, because I do have like that soft spot for Shai as a Canadian. Like seeing this guy ball, he might win the Triple Crown here: MVP, Finals MVP. Wouldn't be shocked if that's what ends up happening. So I don't know. I'm just ultimately hoping for at least a competitive series because this is the last 7 possible basketball games we're gonna get, and it looks like it might just be 4. So I'm hoping it's 5 or 6, but I don't know.
I will say, I don't want to be all doom and gloom and get people not to be hyped because it should be a good finals. And look, like the Pacers showed, like in the series with the Knicks, they punched them in the mouth. They stole 2 on the road. They battled, like, you know, the Knicks are a tough team to put down, but the Pacers showed that they could do it. I just can't in good conscience tell people to bet Pacers win, but like there's a route here, you know, like it's not, you know, everyone thinks everything's a foregone conclusion. Like you go back to 2006 when Dwayne Wade won his first title, everybody, you know, the Mavs were the favorites and the Mavs jumped out to a series lead, and then Dwayne Wade just put his head down and balled out. You look at what happened with the Pistons against the Lakers. Like, yeah, you know, retrospect, everyone looks and like, oh yeah, but the Lakers team was old and they didn't like each other, whatever. Yeah, but going into the series, most people thought, oh yeah, it's the Shaq and Kobe Lakers with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. No way they'll lose. And then, you know, the Pistons showed that like good team ball with no true number one option could win out. Like there is a route here, and I think
for sure
on part of manage is like important. I think game three will tell me all I need to know. And so one last thing I'll say about like an edge in game 3, if you think this has any chance of being a series, bet Pacers stuff. Like bet like Tyrese Haliburton have a good game, bet Pascal have a good game, bet them to win, like to cover, because I think game 3 I'm predicting they're going to be down 2-0. So that game will be important to show like, hey, we can still protect home court. Like,
yeah.
And then that will kind of decide whether this series has legs or whether it's going to be over in 5 at the most. Like,
yeah. And I do think if you like the Pacers, kind of like I mentioned, like a good angle to take them is just take the points. Like,
yeah,
don't like taking the money line. I mean, sure, if you really like them, sprinkle a little bit, but I would like, you're getting almost double-digit points, and I do think if they lose that game 1, we're gonna get even more points in game 2. So I kind of like that. Also, another angle you could do is the team total. If you think, you know, you're getting fast-paced games, the total is looking pretty high. But like Ruben said, the defense for, you know, this Thunder team is pretty strong, and this Pacers team also, like Ruben said, like there's games where Haliburton drops 6 points and he drops 30, right? So it's kind of hard to know, you know, what kind of production are you gonna get against an elite defense like this. So yeah, I don't know, it's tricky, but yeah, like no one expected the Pacers to go into Madison Square Garden and knock the Knicks off in the first game like that. So I mean, if the Pacers came in this first game and beat OKC, like, I mean, this series is gonna be nuts. So I don't know, I'm just excited for game 1, like, because I think game 1, like you said, if they can come out and punch these guys in the mouth and say, hey, like, we don't give a shit what everyone else in the world is saying, like, we're here to win this finals, like, then I'm gonna be hyped and like I can't wait. So I think this is the true test for all the Pacers doubters and haters. It's like, you know, they beat the Bucks, okay, the Bucks were injured. They beat the Cavs, okay, the Cavs were injured. They beat the Knicks, okay, well, maybe you could argue the Knicks beat themselves, right? That first game up 20 at home. If they win that game, that series, the outlook is probably a lot different, right? So you kind of have this Pacers team, and they haven't been given their credit. If they win this series, it's time to give them their credit. So I'm just excited to watch as a fan, and I just hope for a competitive series.
I mean, either way, it's kind of going to be exciting. Like, I know that people, some places online, like most of the sports blogs and stuff, they put it down that Oklahoma has won a title before, but that was back when they were the Seattle Supersonics, which we discussed last time we did one of these, where we were previewing the conference finals. And while I'm not discounting that championship, I mean, given the fact that that team moved from Seattle to Oklahoma, even though they may theoretically have the history of the Seattle Supersonics, I doubt that there are many Seattle fans that are cheering for Oklahoma. And I doubt that there are many Oklahoma fans that feel a connection to that title that happened in the 70s, the city that they're not from, right? So yeah, for all intents and purposes, one of these two teams will get a title for the first time in front of their fans. and to be able to do a parade, which is always fun for, I remember the Raptors parade, like the city really came out, and it felt like a surreal experience for a lot of people. And there's the Shai element to it all. Like, obviously, we're Canadian. We live in Canada. He would probably become the best Canadian player of all time. Like, I mean, just because, like, Steve Nash won 2 MVPs, but he never quite was able to get to the mountaintop. Shai would have an MVP now.
And he's only getting started.
And it's the beginning of his career, exactly, right?
Yeah, this team is going to be here to stay, so
it's an exciting final. And yeah, I like what Joel said too. If you do think the Pacers, like if you believe in the Pacers, pardon me, whether you're a Pacers fan or just because you genuinely think that they match up well, taking the points is a good idea because, again, I also agree with what Joel said. This first game will also be the worst thing that could happen in this first game, and I think people will be confused about this, because I don't even think the worst thing that could happen is the Thunder blow them out. The worst thing that could happen is the Pacers play really good, the Thunder play flat, and the Thunder still win.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, like
it's over.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If this game feels like the Pacers could have taken one and didn't, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. But obviously, we're hoping that. Hey, look, as much as I picked a Thunder sweep, if the Pacers win game 1, oh baby, like I'm all in. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm having a blast. So yeah. Any other thoughts on the series? Anything that you have about, or?
That's probably kind of it for me. I do think that maybe, like, in terms of props, I'll probably try to like take a peek at some of those maybe after the first game. I kind of think like Thunder players for rebounds is going to be pretty easy in my like I said, I do think they have such a clear rebounding edge. So guys for like points, rebound combos, or just straight up rebound props, I think that's probably how I would want to attack the Thunder. And then on the flip side, with the Pacers, I'll probably be looking at like role player, smaller point totals and stuff like that, rather than the Pascals and the Haliburtons, because I do think their markets are going to be pretty inflated. And like I also mentioned, I think it's going to be, kind of like a team effort from the Pacers if they're going to stand a chance. So kind of in line with that thinking, guys like your Nemhards and stuff like that with probably single digit point totals. I think those could be some pretty good angles, but yeah, like I kind of shared my strategy already. So that's kind of where my head's at. And that's about it for me. I would just say, besides all that, just stay tuned to the socials. We will post like any bets that we like throughout the individual games, because this episode is kind of we're just talking about the series as a whole. So individual game stuff, stay tapped in on X, where most of our stuff will be. And if you had any other final thoughts, take it away, my friend.
No, I agree with a lot of what Joel's saying. And remember, I said that for the conference finals series, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the other rounds, but role players tend to shoot better at home. So when you're looking at your Nemhards, your Neesmith, your Jalen Williams, if you're looking for them for like threes made or whatever, you're trying to hunt those markets, do keep that in mind. Like a line may look appetizing just because they're on the road, but like, especially in the end, like we're saying, like the Pacers are going to win, that crowd's going to get on top of the Thunder. So players that usually shoot good, that are role players, might find themselves regressing a bit. Williams had a couple tough games against the Wolves. Like, he didn't show his best. And no disrespect to the Wolves crowd, they were clearly like in it and motivated. I would say the Pacers have a better crowd than the Wolves. So those kind of markets, they're volatile for a reason. I will say though, I like hunting Neesmith and Nemhard for the Pacers in terms of like the point totals, if you can get them on a nice spot, because like Joel said, like those guys will be the beneficiaries of the ball being forced out of Pascal and Tyrese's hand, right? And even a guy like Miles Turner, like no matter how you feel about bigs taking threes, he's shown himself to be a willing shooter and a pretty capable one. So something to look at, especially when they're at home. But no, I'm excited. It's a good series. Hey, look, we went through it last podcast and we said, like, you know, it's been like 7 years with a different champion every year. Like, the age of dynasty seems to be dead. Although, if the Thunder win, this could be the beginning of a new dynasty. Who knows? Who knows? There's a lot to play.
I will say, if you guys did listen to the last one and you got your Haliburton Finals MVP ticket in, you're holding some real good closing line value on that, because I don't remember what that number was, but I know for a fact that number is not as good now. So shout out. I think that was your call. Shout out to Ruben on that one.
Because again, if you believe that they were going to do it, like, it was a no-brainer.
I did.
And now,
I lost all my Knicks bets.
Oh man, I had to take it for Anthony Edwards Finals MVP.
Oh yeah,
Final Olympics.
It's okay.
Oh God.
Hopefully the Thunder will get us our coin back in the finals.
Let's hope so. But yeah, I think that's it from us today. Stay tuned on X. Like Joel said, that's where we put most of the stuff that happens, like, for the individual games. If you've been following the channel, you saw we released the NFL free agency video. This will probably be the last one we do on the NBA, because the season's going to be done after this series. So after that, it'll be, again, we're back to the NFL. Slowly but surely, the media cycle's already churning. Stephon Diggs is doing drugs on a boat, apparently, and missing OT.
Oh, don't you love football?
It hasn't even been like a month since he's been a Patriot, probably.
Yeah, can you imagine if the news, like, Aaron Judge caught on boat doing, like, coke with hookers? Like, you never hear about this stuff in baseball and, like, you know, tennis or all these other sports, but something about NFL wide receivers, man. I mean, these guys are just built different.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Like,
I love it.
It's the best. It's one of the reasons why the NFL is so watchable. It's like, this is a crazy person. But yeah, so it'll be more NFL content moving forward as we ramp up to our fantasy drafts. And, you know, I think for me and Joel, the most fun betting part of the year, when we're doing NFL Sunday tickets.
Oh yeah,
we're putting in our long-term bets for that. So yeah, we're excited to keep making content. We thank you for all of the engagement, and like always, if you have any opinions, if you want to make fun of us for picking the New York Knicks, or if you want to tell us that the Pacers are going to beat the Thunder in 6, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next time at Sports Garden.